Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We continue talking football. The Jamaica Reggae Boyz are back in action on Thursday when they take on Qatar in the opening match in their tour of Austria. This match is to be played behind closed doors. The second and final match of the tour sees the boys going up against Jordan on Monday. The fixtures are being used as preparations for the upcoming CONCACAF Gold Cup, where the boys have been drawn in Group A. Ahead of the matches, Reggae Boyz head coach Hallgrimsson said there is a bit of a hype surrounding the team.
We are here now in Austria, playing 2 games against Qatar tomorrow and Jordan on the 19th. Really good facilities we have here, and good opponents in Qatar and Jordan. So we feel there is a good vibe among the players. Everybody is ready. And what we have felt, me and John contacting players, there's a lot of interest now in Jamaica. There's a lot of players expressing their wish to play for Jamaica, both those who have played before and also players that have not been before in the national team. So I think there is a wind. There's a tailwind, like we say in Iceland. There's a tailwind, so we should use that advantage in the years to come.
Let's take a look now at the squad selected for the matches. We have Andre Blake, Jamali Waite, Conner Boyce-Clark, Amari Bell, Deshaun Bernard, Richard King, Joel Latibeder, Adrian Mariappa, Dexter Lembikisa, Javane Brown, Kevin Lambert, John Russell, Delano Splatt, Brandon Covan, Daniel Johnson, Kahim Paris, Shamar Nicholson, Corey Burke, and the Chelsea man, Dejon Richards. Ricardo, the Reggae Boyz head coach Hallgrimsson, says there is a bit of buzz surrounding the squad. Do you concur?
It's Jamaica. It's a brand. I think there's always a buzz. But there's a point I want to make about Hallgrimsson. And I've developed a lot of respect for him since he's taken over this Reggae Boyz team. And I'll tell you why. I am impressed with how candid, how open he is when he comes to these press conferences. I think we've become accustomed to having coaches and managers, not just at the national level, but I see it quite often even at the Premier League level. Whenever you ask certain questions about players and so on, it's always, well, we're not sure, we don't quite know yet, we'll see, we'll have to wait and see. And you almost feel as if you never get a straight answer. With Hallgrimsson, I don't get that impression. I get the impression that when he has a press conference, he's come ready to answer the questions that the people want to know the answers to.
And I know exactly why you're saying that. Because today, he explained why every one of the players who people would ask about, you didn't have to ask, Ricardo. He listed every one of them, and whether the reasons were reasons he probably shouldn't have told the public, whether it's a personal business, coach decided to share it because that's the correct answer, and he felt he was going to be asked anyway.
Yeah, and you are right, and you are very much right. And he didn't wait to be asked about any specific player. He just started the press conference by saying, listen, this is the squad we have in Austria. I know you're going to be asking about a number of players. This is what is happening with each of them. And it's no different from when he just came. Remember when he just came and the Reggae Boyz were to play Argentina in an international friendly? Andre Blake had been left out of the team. Yes. He knew that questions would come up, and he came to the press conference and he addressed that head on. First up, the JFF might not have been very happy, but he addressed it head on. No, there are a few things that came out of that press conference today, Mariah, that I think very important for us to address.
Especially because our viewers would not have been privy to the press conference and will be asking the questions.
Yeah, so a few players, key players, Michael Antonio, Leon Bailey, Bobby Reid, Ethan Pinnock, Damian Lowe.
Damari Gray.
I'll get to Damari in a little bit, but those not in the squad for the Austria leg, they are expected to join up with the squad for the CONCACAF Gold Cup. Based on what the head coach said, in the case of Michael Antonio and Leon Bailey, they have injury issues that they are sorting out, and the feeling is that it's best they do that with their club, with their personal doctors and physios and so on, who have the equipment that would be better than what they would be able to provide at the Jamaica Football Federation, or at least on the camp in Austria. He also spoke about Ethan Pinnock, who has stayed on with his wife, who just had, I think, their 4th child.
Yes.
And maybe that's the personal business that Mariah was talking about. And Damian Lowe, one of the key Reggae Boyz defenders, he's injured and he is being monitored to see whether he will be fit enough for the Gold Cup. The thinking is that he will make the Gold Cup, but at this stage they are not sure. And then there is Damari Gray, who we pointed out his papers have not come through 100% yet, but he says it does look positive.
We'll wait and see.
As far as Damari Gray is concerned. So there is a possibility he could be in the squad for the CONCACAF Gold Cup. I was actually quite happy as well, Mariah, to hear him speak about Dejon Whisper Richards. Not just about the talent that he has, because I think we all know the talent that he has and how much quality he has. But when he said that Dejon Whisper Richards has been doing very well in training in Austria.
He pointed to the physical speed, his strengths, all these different things. And to me, Ricardo, you got a clearer picture. When he said those things, I could picture Dejon, training, putting in the work. So I was pleased as well with that answer.
Yeah, having said all of that, there are concerns with this Reggae Boyz team, because here's another situation where you have put together a training camp. You have set up 2 friendly international matches, and you do that because you want to have your best players prepare for a really good run at the CONCACAF Gold Cup. And then you don't have several of your key players in the camp. You don't have several of your key players to play in these warm-up matches. And so you are going to play a
different team here and then a different team.
Yeah, that will look completely different when the Gold Cup starts. So you don't have the type of gelling that you would want going into a tournament like the Gold Cup.
And that's so important, because I think we have been affected by that previously, where the senior players, the Michael Antonios, the big names, the ones that play in the EPL, the ones that play at the highest level, they come into the setup and you can see the difference, you can see the lack of chemistry, and it's no fault of anyone's, but I'm just trying to say that it doesn't work. It's natural that if I'm not used to hosting with you, Ricardo, and I have another co-host and they join me, it's going to be different. The chemistry is not there, and that's just common sense.
Yeah, you're right. You're very much right. And then when you look at it, there was also a question of commitment on the part of the players, whether they were committed to the cause enough. I think Coach Hallgrimsson wanted to point out that maybe commitment does not come into the equation this time. I think we can always have a debate about that, because he said...
but it didn't appear that way.
Yeah, that there are several different reasons why players are unavailable. And clearly those reasons have been accepted by the coaching staff, by the Jamaica Football Federation, as legitimate reasons why the players are unable to make the camp. But it cannot be good for the preparations of the team going into a tournament like the Gold Cup, where things will not be easy. They open against the United States of America, so you will have to hit the ground running. There's also Trinidad and Tobago in that group, plus a qualifier. Remember, again, it will look like a completely different squad. It can so often, Mariah, be difficult to judge a Reggae Boyz squad, to judge a Reggae Boyz performance, because almost every time they hit the field, you are seeing a different team. And so how do you really holistically judge the Reggae Boyz as opposed to just judging the 11 players who are out there on the day?
Well, you can't.
Yeah.
We can't. It would be impossible. And what I say after we look at the match tomorrow and I analyze the players will be very different from what I'll be analyzing when the actual team plays against a different squad.
You will be different from what you analyze when they play against Jordan on Monday, and will be different from what you analyze when they play the opening game against the United States. So unfortunate. Part of it is because of the landscape that we operate in terms of the amount of football these players have to be playing, moving from their respective domestic leagues to international football, and it can be tough, especially at the end of a very long campaign. You can need some time to rest, but it also potentially hurts the national program as well.
All in all, I'm looking forward to see the Reggae Boyz do very well. Let's start with tomorrow, then we move across to Jordan, and then the Gold Cup. Let's take a quick break and come back. Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.